Halloween night had arrived, casting its eerie spell upon the quaint town of Hollowswood. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I could feel a shiver down my spine, as if the veil between the living and the dead was growing thin. My friends and I had gathered at the old abandoned Hollowswood Manor, drawn by the allure of adventure and the promise of a night filled with frights. Little did we know that this Halloween night would be one we'd never forget, as the manor held secrets darker than the shadows that danced around us. The wind howled as we approached the dilapidated mansion, its broken windows staring out like hollow eyes. Nervous laughter disguised our apprehension, but we pressed forward, eager to explore its mysteries. Our flashlights illuminated the dusty interior, revealing faded portraits of long-deceased ancestors and crumbling furniture frozen in time. As the night progressed, the atmosphere grew more oppressive. The creaking floorboards seemed to whisper ancient secrets, and our footsteps echoed like heartbeats in the deserted halls. Each room was a maze of cobwebs and decay, and the air was heavy with the scent of decay and dampness. At midnight, we gathered in the grand ballroom, where a massive chandelier hung like a specter from the ceiling. We decided to conduct a seance, believing it would add to the thrill of our Halloween adventure. Ignoring the warnings we had heard about the manor's haunted past, we held hands, closed our eyes, and chanted in unison. A sudden gust of wind extinguished our candles, plunging us into darkness. Panic set in as the room filled with an unnatural coldness. A voice whispered from the darkness, and it wasn't any of us. "Who dares to intrude upon my domain?" it hissed, chilling our souls to the core. Our circle broke and we stumbled back, fear seizing our hearts. Before us materialized a ghostly figure, clad in a tattered wedding gown. Her eyes, a haunting shade of blue, bore into our souls. We were paralyzed with terror as she recounted her tragic tale, a bride who died on her wedding night, betrayed and murdered by her jealous groom. Her soul had remained trapped within the walls of Hollowswood Manor, seeking vengeance for centuries. We were now pawns in her never-ending torment. She demanded justice, and we were her unwitting jury. The atmosphere turned hostile, and we had no choice but to search for evidence that would reveal the truth behind her demise. In the darkness, we scoured the manor for clues, our hearts pounding with each creak and whisper. The atmosphere was suffocating, and the walls seemed to close in around us. We discovered old journals and letters hidden away, unveiling the sinister plot that led to her tragic end. Suddenly, the ground beneath us trembled, and an otherworldly howl pierced the silence. The ghostly bride was enraged, sensing that we were close to uncovering the truth. Her vengeful wrath manifested in the form of spectral apparitions that chased us through the winding corridors. Panic-stricken, we ran, hearts pounding in our ears, praying that we would make it out alive. In a moment of desperation, we found a hidden room at the heart of the manor. The walls were adorned with eerie symbols, and an ancient tome lay open on a dusty altar. As we read the incantations from the book, we hoped to banish the malevolent spirit haunting the mansion. But the ritual only seemed to exacerbate the haunting. The walls bled with eerie symbols, and the spectral figures multiplied around us. It was as if we had unleashed an even darker force from the depths of the mansion. Time seemed to blur as we battled the relentless entities that surrounded us. Friends fell one by one, disappearing into the unknown abyss, their voices swallowed by the void. I was the last one standing, and terror gripped me like a vice. With the last flicker of hope, I remembered a local legend about a hidden family heirloom, a pendant that could break the curse. Armed with newfound courage, I rushed to the attic where the pendant was rumored to be kept. Amidst the chaos and malevolence, I found the pendant resting on an ancient chest. Clutching the pendant tightly, I returned to the ballroom where the ghostly bride and her horde of phantoms awaited me. The pendant began to glow with an otherworldly light, and as I raised it high, the ghosts screeched and recoiled, as if repelled by its power. The pendant's light enveloped the ghostly bride, and she let out a mournful wail. Slowly, the ethereal figure dissipated, and her soul was finally at rest. The malevolent spirits dissipated into nothingness, and the mansion fell silent once more. The curse was broken, but I was the sole survivor, forever haunted by the horrors I had witnessed that Halloween night. Hollowswood Manor would forever remain a haunted memory, a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows on Halloween night. As I left the manor, I knew that the horrors I had faced would stay with me forever, a cautionary tale to share with others. The spirits of Hollowswood would never truly be gone, forever etched in the stories we tell to scare ourselves on Halloween night, reminding us that sometimes the line between the living and the dead is a thin one indeed. On Halloween night, a chilling wind swept through the small town of Blackwood Hollow. The streets were adorned with jack-o'-lanterns, and the harvest moon loomed large in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the desolate roads. My friends and I had decided to venture into the nearby woods for a secret Halloween ritual we had discovered in an old, dusty tome, an act that would change our lives forever. As we made our way through the darkened forest, the twisted branches seemed to reach out for us, as if warning us to turn back. But the allure of the ritual was too strong, and curiosity had us firmly in its grip. We carried with us a bag filled with candles, a sacred book, and an assortment of herbs and trinkets. At the heart of the woods, we found a clearing bathed in moonlight. In its center stood an ancient stone altar, carved with symbols that seemed to pulse with energy. This was the place where we were to perform the Harvest Moon Ritual, a ceremony that promised to grant our deepest desires. Hesitation gnawed at us, but the promise of power and fulfillment drowned out our doubts. We lit the candles and chanted the incantations from the sacred book, our voices trembling with excitement and fear. The air grew thick, and the forest fell silent, as if holding its breath, aware of the consequences that would follow. As we reached the climax of the ritual, the ground trembled beneath our feet, and a low guttural growl reverberated through the clearing. Panic seized us, and we attempted to extinguish the candles, but they remained stubbornly lit, casting strange, dancing shadows on the trees around us. The forest came alive with eerie whispers, and unseen eyes seemed to watch us from the darkness. Fear choked our throats, but it was too late to turn back now. We had summoned something, and it hungered for more than we could comprehend. A deep, sinister laughter echoed through the woods, and a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall, spectral figure with hollow eyes that pierced through our souls. "You dare summon me?" the voice boomed, sending chills down our spines. "I am the keeper of desires and the bringer of nightmares. What do you seek, mortals?" Fear clutched at our hearts, but we managed to whisper our wishes. One sought wealth beyond imagination, another craved eternal beauty, and the third longed for power to rule the world. With each wish, the figure grew stronger, and an unsettling feeling crept over us, as if we were bartering our very souls. The figure smiled, a malicious grin that filled us with dread. "Your desires shall be fulfilled, but know this: every boon comes at a price. You will each be granted your heart's desire, but in return, you shall be bound to serve me in the realm of shadows, for eternity." The gravity of the situation sunk in, and we hesitated. But the figure's dark magic had ensnared us, leaving us unable to escape its grasp. One by one, we succumbed to the temptation, sealing our fates with the figure that had emerged from the depths of the forest. In a blinding flash of light, our desires were granted. Gold spilled at our feet, ageless beauty enveloped us, and power surged through our veins. But as we reveled in our newfound gifts, we felt a deep, gnawing emptiness, a void that could not be filled. As the figure's presence faded, we were left to dwell on our choices and the consequences that awaited us. The forest returned to its eerie silence, and the moon hid behind a blanket of clouds, as if disapproving of our actions. The nights that followed were a haze of regret and torment. We soon realized that our desires were hollow victories, curses disguised as blessings. The wealth brought misery, the eternal beauty turned into a burden, and the thirst for power devoured our souls. Haunted by our choices, we tried to undo the Harvest Moon ritual, but the dark figure had us firmly in its grasp. It delighted in our misery, tormenting us with nightmarish visions and haunting whispers that echoed in our minds. One by one, my friends succumbed to madness or vanished into the abyss of the forest, never to be seen again. I was left as the last survivor, a broken soul shackled to the dark figure's will. Now I wander the woods of Blackwood Hollow, a hollow shell of my former self, eternally bound to serve the being I had foolishly summoned. On Halloween night, the figure returns, and I am forced to help it lure unsuspecting souls into the forest, forever ensnaring them in its web of despair. Halloween night, once a time of joy and celebration, is now a curse that repeats itself in an endless loop of darkness. My warning to all who hear my tale: beware the allure of power and desire, for the price of temptation is far higher than any mortal can bear. The harvest moon ritual remains a dark secret, waiting to ensnare the unwary and bring their nightmares to life.
Every Halloween, the small suburban neighborhood of Oakwood Street transformed into a sea of excitement and laughter. Kids donned their costumes, ready to embark on the age-old tradition of trick-or-treating. My friends and I, dressed as classic monsters, eagerly joined the festivities. Little did we know that this Halloween night would be far from ordinary. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the street, we set out with our treat bags in hand. The air felt charged with anticipation as we approached the old abandoned house at the end of the cul-de-sac. It had always been a spooky sight, but tonight it emanated an ominous energy that sent shivers down our spines. Bravado and curiosity got the best of us, and we decided to venture inside for an extra thrill. The rusty gate creaked open, and the overgrown garden seemed to whisper warnings as we tiptoed through the thicket. The house loomed before us, its darkened windows like vacant eyes staring into our souls. With nervous laughter, we dared each other to knock on the door. Our knuckles tapped the wood, echoing through the empty halls. As if in response, a chilling gust of wind swept past, slamming the door shut. Fear engulfed us, but we remained determined to prove our bravery. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy with dust and decay. Cobwebs adorned every corner, and the air was filled with a musty odor. Our flashlights revealed faded photographs, remnants of a family long gone, and strange symbols etched into the walls. But as we explored, the house seemed to come alive. Doors creaked open on their own, and distant whispers echoed in the halls. Shadows danced on the walls, taking forms that resembled twisted faces. Panic set in, and we decided to leave, but the door we had entered through had vanished, leaving us trapped within the haunting mansion. We pressed on, trying to find another exit, but the layout of the house seemed to shift and change with each step we took, leading us deeper into its malevolent grip. My heart pounded in my chest, the darkness suffocating me, as if the house itself was alive and feeding on our fear. Suddenly, we stumbled upon a room adorned with an altar and flickering candles. Dread washed over us as we realized this was no ordinary abandoned house. It was a place of occult rituals and dark magic. We tried to escape, but an unseen force pushed us back, sealing us inside. As the midnight hour approached, the house's true nature was unveiled. A spectral figure emerged from the shadows, clad in a tattered cloak with glowing eyes that bore into our souls. "You trespassers dare to disturb my sanctuary," it hissed, its voice sending chills down our spines. The figure explained that the house was once home to a powerful coven of witches practicing their craft for centuries. They had vanished mysteriously, leaving behind a haunting legacy. The house had become a beacon for malevolent spirits, attracting the restless dead and feeding on the fear of those who dared to enter. A cold realization settled in our hearts. The only way to escape was to face the spirits that haunted the house. We were to perform a ritual of cleansing, but our fate would be uncertain, and failure meant eternal imprisonment within its walls. With no other choice, we followed the figure's instructions, chanting incantations and calling upon the spirits to confront them. The air grew colder, and ghastly apparitions materialized around us. Their tormented wails filled the air, and their ghostly forms reached out as if seeking solace from their eternal suffering. Time seemed to blur as we battled the restless spirits, fear and bravery waging an internal war within us. Some of us faltered, consumed by terror and vanishing into the unknown. Yet we pressed on, our determination fueled by the hope of survival. As the ritual neared its end, the malevolent spirits grew fiercer, but we held steadfast. The haunted house shook with fury, and the walls bled with eerie symbols. The spectral figure we had encountered before now joined our side, helping us banish the vengeful spirits. In a final burst of energy, we broke the malevolent grip of the house, causing it to tremble and shake. As we rushed to the door, it creaked open, revealing the moonlit night beyond. We fled, leaving the haunting mansion behind. Outside, we realized that the house had vanished, as if it had never existed. The other houses on Oakwood Street looked untouched, and the festivities continued without a hint of the horrors we had endured. We returned to our normal lives, haunted by the memories of that night. We knew we had come dangerously close to losing ourselves to the darkness that dwelled within the haunted house. From that Halloween night on, Oakwood Street was forever changed. The memory of the haunted mansion etched into our hearts, and the tales we shared to warn others of the terrors that could lie hidden within the shadows of trick-or-treating.